I'm gonna know.
Hey,
What's up, assholes? This is Call to Action Podcast, and I am mega excited to talk to you about some amazing things that happened last weekend, cry-worthy stuff, and I'm here with my best guy friend, Dylan. Tell me what's up.
hey guys, welcome to the show. I am Dylan Camacho, and we are going to be just
Oh,
gushing about this live event. We had an absolute blast. We got the full VIP experience, and we shouldn't have, but we did. And we won't talk about that part, but we got a lot of really great things to
what
talk to you about. We got awesome
it?
things to talk about today, this episode, and nothing less than the live event episodes, which you're really here for. So let's go ahead and start. Alex, what do we got on the schedule?
Oh my gosh, we have so much amazing stuff to talk about. Okay, but we are going to talk about specifically Who's the Boss? The Odd Couple. It was such a kick-ass match. I almost cried. It was so beautiful. But
I did cry.
there was a winner and there was a loser. Honestly, to me, they're both losers, but irrelevant. Okay, so first things first, we're going to talk about some individual performances. Several people had such amazing performances today. I'm not today, but I mean during the match. Bateman, he had a perfect second round. With movie release dates, obviously. And Draco had a perfect 9-point first round, which is like fantastic. Snyder, I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, as talented as everyone else was, he really like he took the whole thing. He was fantastic. But there's so much going on, between the crowd and the people there.
Oh gosh.
A lot to cover. But let's start off, right off the gate. First round, and Draco, he hit out of the park with a perfect 9-point first round. This is like crazy to me.
I think it's first in teams at that too, right?
Sorry?
I think it's his first perfect in teams too, and
Exactly. Absolutely. I was floored. And not to mention they were like really tough questions when we were there. I remember like when you and I were like sat next to each other, we were like, yeah, blah blah blah.
No,
but we were like we probably got like 4 of them, right?
We get ripped. We don't come close. Ben and Riley get 6 each, and then Snyder gets 6, and Draco just with that god tier performance. Good Lord, he crushed this line away.
Wonderful. And not to mention, it was also one of the first major performances that maybe it's because it was a live event, that really brings out, sometimes it can bring out a lot of good things in people, but also can bring out a lot of weird things in people, obviously. Right. But I think being at a live event really amped it up for Draco. He was like really proud. He like stood up and he did like a bow, and I was like, you do it. Mm-hmm. You deserve this. You did so good.
I would agree. I think the live event can get to some people and give that anxiousness, that feeling for it. But him and Snyder, it felt. The funny thing is I think that whenever they first got announced as a team, I was just like, that's going to be a killer team. And then they didn't do so great in the Anarchy tournament. But even while we're in line with the live event, while we're sitting here talking with people, shout out to Linus Barbach. I forget his last name. Linus, you know who you are. Watch this video. You better. I'm going to tag him in this video and say, I shout him out. We're sitting next to Linus, and we're sitting there talking, and we're even discussing, saying, they were going to be a killer team. It's crazy that they're not. But the fact that they have all this untapped potential.
I apologize to you for telling you to shut your whore mouth. But you're also bad talking guys, so I defend myself. So
I think it was Kalinowski that he was knocking, wasn't it?
No, he was talking about a guy, how he's like all show. And
Linus, you fucking traitor! Damn it, Linus!
I will punch a baby.
All right, so back on track. Back to the match.
Anyway, you're right. Okay,
so we're looking at some
and that was like it was really great for Draco. I mean, like I'm hoping with this being this live event, not only did it knock it out of the park, obviously, and with his confidence improved, I am hoping this is really gonna have a nice lasting effect for him, being in more team matches. Obviously, his confidence is going to grow, working with a team, because he hasn't been a part of a team in a very long time, since I think you mentioned earlier, Blofield's cat. Is that right?
Blofield's cat, yeah. Him with Robert Meyer Burnett.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When he was a player. Oh boy, rough.
Woo.
Okay. All right. Now from the first round, great, awesome. Everyone did really good, but I mean, like, there was no stopping in Draco there, and he hit his, this bonus question, because a lot of people do get a perfect first round, but rarely do they actually get a perfect 9-pointer. So that was really impressive. Now, going into second round, Bateman had spun movie release dates.
Thank God. Movie release dates!
And it was a fun time. Bateman, obviously, he stuck with it. I doubt he was looking at Riley being like, oh, should we spin again? I'm like, bitch, no, they should keep it. But he hit a perfect second round.
Crushes this category. Absolutely just goes in there, does what Bateman does best. Thankfully, we've released this video a little bit later, and we've seen a reaction video from Team Action. And he even said himself that he pretty much clears it all the way up until like one question. I forget which one it is. But he checks in with Riley, and Riley happens to know it because he's like, oh, is it the same year as this other movie? Because Ben, me, and you, neither of us were alive on the whatever movie date it was. And the fact that Riley was there and supports Nets crushes it. Just really shows that synergy between who's the boss and why. Riley in the very beginning even said, who's the boss? I'm the fucking boss. But Ben Bateman was the boss in this episode. He crushes this round.
Yeah. What's kind of funny, though, is that, considering that Ben the boss, he did perfect for a second round. We're going to kind of talk about it later that, they're dynamic, as a team, which is going to be pretty interesting. Right. Now, another winner, even though he didn't have a perfect round, he was still fantastic, was Snyder. Now, Snyder obviously thrives with attention. If you've seen any Collider movie talk, if you've seen any of his mailbag episodes with Roca, he's definitely has a large personality, and he's not afraid to, say something mean or rude or something sometimes. He's not being like an awful person about it, but at the same time, he's just being a little in your face, essentially.
I would say the line between Snyder as a character and Snyder as a person, I think, is pretty thin. I think that who he is on as the showboat himself is very much who he is in life, and which is great because I think it comes off very genuine. But put him in a live audience, and he had the time of his life. I think even if he lost that match, he would have had the time of his life.
Rolling around on the floor, he was having a hoot.
Drowning himself in water. We're getting ahead of ourselves on
that part. He switched his shirt like 5 times.
Yeah. And even I think so much of that, too, was one thing we were talking about before the show is it felt so much like the Snyder that we had with the Patriots. He had that cockiness. He had that skill set. We had half of the team champions back again in this match. And I'll be damned if Draco doesn't help him take that all the way to the belts, because that was insane what they did at the live show.
It was bonkers. It was absolutely bonkers. And, at the end of the day, at that match, there was Riley. He's a former singles champion, obviously. And also Snyder, he's a 9-time champion.
9 defenseless champion, of the tag team.
Champion as part of the Patriots. And so that match, we knew it was going to be a rough match. It was going to be hard regardless. But at the same time, we didn't know what was going to happen. And in Draco, he, as part of singles, he does well, but he's not great. He's not perfect by any means, but he's always on the cusp of winning, which is, kind of sucks because he's so talented. And also Bateman, Bateman's having kind of I don't want to say a losing streak, but at the same time, he's not.
But he's having a losing streak. Let's call it what it is, though.
I don't like to say losing streak because I feel like when you lose at least 3 matches, then it becomes a losing streak. And I don't feel like he's at that yet.
That's fair.
If
I think that
loses against Guy, when he loses against Guy,
so
then we can say losing streak.
Here's to chime in even with that, I would agree. But it is even hard to say. Here's the thing: even if and when he loses to Andrea, that even still, the matches are so damn close.
They are.
This match doesn't feel like
he's never been, as far as I know, he's never been KO'd.
No.
He's even he's always just been. It's whenever he plays against someone, even when he loses, it's a very close match. This team match, this was a very close match. It was 28-27?
Yeah, I think it's a 1-point difference. But
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it was kind of bonkers.
Yeah.
Versus, with Who's the Boss, considering that Riley is the former singles champion. It's surprising to me, like going into this live event, he was the more quiet one. He didn't want to, he wasn't the showboat like, Snyder, or I mean, he was the quietest one out of everyone, including Andreyko, which is crazy.
Right.
Andreyko, he was taking his bows. He was getting confident. He was kind of showing off a little bit, but Riley, he was like letting Bateman take the wheel, so to speak. Essentially.
I think Riley knows that in that live event episode, and we've seen Bateman in pretty much every live event that's been on here for the most part, either as a featured match or a cameo. And he just was like, you know what, I'm gonna let us sit back. And Riley was just like, I'm just gonna do work. And I mean, he did for the most part. Like we said, first round they both score 6 the same. Second round, I mean, mostly it's Ben's wheelhouse, but definitely without the assist. And then this is kind of where we start to transition into round 3. And firstly, actually, scratch that. I want to say, side note, Andreyko, we're sleeping. I think people are really focused on what Ben does in the second round, but Andreyko does a lot of work in that Kate Blanchett category. And
kidding.
And granted, I don't know how much of that also comes from Snyder because we don't get to see behind the scenes with their stuff. But I mean, it seemed like Andreyko was the one who was like, I want to pick this category. This is like a strength for mine, and they pick it. And in that moment, everybody's cat. In that moment, I'm not gonna lie. When they picked Kate Blanchett, I'm like, they're sunk. That was my first feeling. I was like, they're done. It's over. Rip. Like it's
100%.
Yeah, and then they max it out. I don't know. They might have gone to multiple choice or something on one or something like that, but they go all the way through it. They crush that category as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, like, Riley, I mean, he does have a stage background. Considering the environment, I was just a little surprised he let Bateman, have just a little more of the showiness. But, I mean, that being said, I mean, even though Who's the Boss lost, barely.
We're here now.
It's a great match and everything, I mean, the Odd Couple, they won, and they won splendidly. I wouldn't have, if I were to win a match, that's how I would want to do it. I want it to be a solid match like that. But the match overall, even though Who's the Boss lost, there was a lot of story before and after that really went into this. Ben Bateman, for example, going into our next segment, after when they were kind of doing the interviews and everything, we had a little situation with a certain female manager.
Ooh, with a certain love interest in the past.
Miss Roxy, manager of the Odd Couple. That has been a manager for a long time. For a handful of individual players and teams. As well, like DC Movie News, for example, and not Corruption, but she was the manager of Kalinowski for a while as well. So, her kind of coming up and having this little
has its moments.
Absolutely moments. Tell me, you were there. I was there, obviously, but tell me, what did you think? What was going on? Because at the time, I didn't understand the background. Like, I didn't know a lot of the background situation behind this individual story, but you
right.
did.
So,
what were you thinking?
For you and all of our listeners who haven't kind of got caught up on the background on this, Roxy's one-on-one with Christian Harloff. Plug on that. Go watch that episode. It's amazing, by the way. Roxy kind of starts talking about how her and Ben were in a relationship, and during that time period, they were actually in the midst of a breakup. And obviously, the professionals, and that they're on their whatever terms they are with it. I mean, it's truthfully none of our fucking business outside the Schmoedown where they exactly they are with it. But inside the Schmoedown, they have this history that happens in real life, and something that kept getting plugged a lot with Christian doing the tours and even going on the radio around the time before the match. He was saying, the best thing we can do with Schmoedown is take the best parts of real life and then really flesh that out into the show. So coming into this, not only do we have all the kayfabe and the storyline and the build up to this, we have genuinely Ben Bateman and Ben Bateman's ex-girlfriend with Roxy come up here. And
how long were they going out for? Like a long time.
They were together for years. Yeah, like years. They
I
worked
had
together.
no idea up until that. I remember like during when that happened, I remember looking and being like, "What's going on? I don't understand. They went out?" And you were like, "Yeah, for a long time." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, so coming up to this moment where you sit there and they mention it a couple times in like a couple episodes towards the end, but that's not really important. You see at the end during the live event, you have the handshake that Ben reaches out for Andreyko. Andreyko says he's not about that bullshit, walks off. Snyder walks off first, and then Andreyko runs off. Yep, and then it comes up to Roxy, and we're sitting here and we're just like, oh god. And then I know in my head I'm just like, this is real drama, guys. Like, I don't know this. I mean, they're probably amping it up and they're professionals and all that, but I'm like, but there's a certain amount of realness to this, and you feel that, and I think that's what it is since blown up.
I mean, something I think was kind of funny though is that I was literally having I was having Easter brunch with my family yesterday, and I was kind of describing this whole thing I was describing my weekend in Chicago, and I was also describing the Schmoedown and everything, and describing the whole Schmoedown experience essentially. And my brother was like, well, if it's like inspired by the WWE, why don't they do it like relationship stuff as well? Why don't it be like the mysterious long distance son or something, or ex-girlfriends? And I'm like, funny you should say that.
As a matter of fact, the Facebook group is on fire right now over Roxy slapping Ben. And
literally, the slap heard around the world.
Yes. And right now we're lucky enough to sit here, and while in all of our laziness, we have waited this long to sit here and actually do the episode. Sorry, guys, life happens. But this works out though, because we get to sit here and we see some of the consequences finally of Roxy's actions, and they've announced on the Facebook group that it comes down to the Snyder and Riley match coming up here next week. And if Snyder wins, then I think Roxy's suspended for like only a month or something like that. And if she loses, then she's banned from being a manager for the championship match between Odd Couple and the Shadow Wolves. So let's just talk briefly on this, because let's be honest, this is the easiest anybody's ever got off on the show on this. Because let's be honest, we have two instances before. We have Guy getting banned for like 3 months, and then Guy getting banned for almost a year before Bateman makes the stipulation match for him to come out. And then Roxy gets, the worst case scenario is that she gets banned for a month for a slap. Like, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it? What are you thinking on how that
it's like, I mean, I understand completely where you're coming from, but also there's a difference. There's a real major difference between how we can issue punishment. For one case, for example, she's a manager. She's not a competitor. So what are you gonna do? Be like she can't compete for a long time?
Doesn't want to compete anyway.
Yeah, she's been very vocal about how she's not a competitor, has no desire to compete. That's why she's a manager. She loves being part of the Schmoedown. But at the end of the day, as far as like getting the trivia done, she's not about that life. So, I mean, that's good. I mean, that's fine and all. However, these punishments I do understand. There's a difference between her slapping him and Guy tackling him. Now there is a problem, because this is the second. This is as much as
the first time this has happened to Ben.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it was like a good slap. I rewatched that slap. I rewatched like part of that handful of scenes just to be like, how real was that slap? That looked like a good.
It was. We heard it there live. That thing echoed through those.
Oh man, I was like, and he was like, oh man, I was like, man, that's gonna bruise.
Yeah, Ben's got a pretty face, but that tingled. That's for sure.
But I mean, as far as punishments, there's only, like I mentioned, there's only so much you can do. What I would be wary of is, I'm curious about that now though, is that what does this mean for Bateman, especially when he, as much as we hate him, he is a traitor and all. He deserves it to a certain.
Whoa, Alec. All right. Let's take our action hats off for just 1 second. And let's take a special moment to sit here and say I'm very pro Bateman after this live event.
No, if he is like being like, I want to prioritize Schmoedown over my relationship, and I want to use her for the sole purpose of training me on movie release dates and forgetting that they have a real relationship, that's his fault.
True, but
that is his fault.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So I want to take this moment right here and aim this, not even just at like us or just whoever's listening, but the Facebook group right now too. Because I think we're as great as the kayfabe of the Schmoedown is that the group is very lit on fire about they think it's too far, or it's too personal, or sometimes I don't. They're worried about a lot of all of it. But let me just go ahead and clarify one thing that honestly I'm just repeating some of the lines from Ben and Guy himself in this is that they're doing such a good job with the kayfabe that it seems like that is real life. And it kind of is real life because they do have real things attached to it. But group, make no mistake. You don't need to get this worked up about it. You don't need to sit here and crucify Roxy for this. You don't need to crucify Ben for this. I think it's very easy to sit here and get stuck in the moment and take a step back.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy the show for what it is and quit trying to damn people or shoot them down or destroy, because destroying Roxy is really popular in that right now. And I'm like, guys.
Yeah.
You think this happened without Ben signing off on this? This was.
I mean, and Christian, yeah, and also Christian and Ellis. They were very vocal about how they talked to both of them. I mean, it was a
Right.
good long chat about where they want this to go. Is this something they're comfortable with? I mean, because they didn't even really plan to slap him. They planned to do something else.
Yeah, they're like, nah.
Like a quick remark or something like that. But Roxy said, "Hey, you know what? I can do something a little more intense. I can slap him." And Ben Bateman, he's like, "Yeah, totally." And she's like, "Yes." Sure. Like maybe it is a little bit of their, to a certain extent, relationship going in, but I mean that's pretty normal for any, couple that's been together and going through a breakup or whatever the situation is,
right.
And also working together. I mean, that's a tough situation to be in, regardless of where you work at, office romance or whatever.
Right.
It sucks. However, again, just to, you reiterate yours, we should never damn Roxy in any way. We should never call her names. We should never. This is all scripted.
Sexualize her over a thumbnail.
All exaggerated. Everyone is in on it. Everyone.
In her Inside Schmoedown.
Completely.
Right.
Yeah, but it's getting so much. I don't know about how much abuse she's getting, but I know there's a lot of vocal people that really dislike her right now. Not only in our group, obviously, in the Action Army, but just in the Schmoedown fandom in general, which is a little worrisome considering.
Yeah, I think we do tend to take one step forward, two steps back, and I think that we need to check ourselves with the Roxy shit. Just sit here and say, guys, it's a show, and you know what? Fucking salute them for the work that they've sat here and done, and taking this real life stuff and making it a part of this, and making it another level of Schmoedown. The fact that they've taken that sacrifice is huge for not only Ben but for Roxy.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, it also just tells us they're making the Schmoedown that much crazier on, which is a good thing. I like to think my brother mentioned yesterday, it makes it that much more involved, that much similar to
wrestling and everything.
Yeah, to the WWE, with all their crazy subplots and everything, family subplots and girlfriends and ex-girlfriends and whatever it may be. So I'm just really excited to see what we're going to go with next, since they're really amping it up in terms of their WWE inspired plot lines.
Right.
Now specifically, obviously, I mean, after the slap heard around the world, we had a little reaction follow-up from our favorite player of all time. Dylan?
Andrew Guy! Everybody. No, I'm just playing. It is no less than Ben, the humblest of bosses, Bateman.
Of course.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and tease this quick interview really quick for y'all. Hopefully we do something with the tag or something. If we had better video editing skills, we would just say, click on this link up here for this. And I don't know, we might, but I doubt it. We'll probably just add the link into a comment. But as me and Alex were at the show for the live event, we sat here and we managed to reach out and pull all the strings and do all this and whatever. I'm very thankful and entitled to sit here and say that we got a small, very quick interview with Ben after the show. Normally we'd cut it into this or something like that, but I think we're just going to upload a separate video. I got to sit there and interview Ben as Ben the Boss Bateman. I dressed up as Ben. Alex dressed up as Alex. We both crush it.
Did you say Alex dressed up as Alex?
Sorry, Alex dressed up as Andrew. Sorry,
Andrew Guy. I dressed up as Andrew Guy, and it was fantastic.
Dastardly
It was so
Drew
great.
Alex.
We have photos uploaded everywhere on
Everywhere.
Facebook groups, the message boards, and
I even have. This is a camera into a camera, so this is terrible. This is the worst possible picture I could sit here and try to take. Whatever.
God.
I'm not even gonna look at it.
I can like plug that right here or something.
Yeah,
like
so good.
So like maybe I can like find a way to plug it like up here or something or something.
I'll do as we're plugging this. We're just gonna post pictures of ourselves really quick. We're gonna totally just plug ourselves because one, I think we did an excellent job, and so behind the scenes while we got to talk to Ben, this is before the interview. I even asked him as we were kind of like getting stuff, and he was looking at my jacket because he was impressed that I got his cosplay so good. And he's like, "You get that jacket from Zara?" And I was like, "Yeah, Zara. Yeah, see, I don't go there. I don't know. I literally went there one time to get a jacket to dress as Ben." And he's like, "You get that from Zara?" And I said, "Yeah, God just knew." And he's like, "That's where I get all my jackets." And I'm like, "Yeah, me too." And
I missed that moment.
Oh,
it's so funny.
It was so good.
That's so weird, but so funny. Oh my gosh.
No, I had an absolute blast. Ben behind the scenes and on and off the Schmoedown is literally just a fucking kick-ass dude. Like it just validates my reason to be an Action Army fan, to be a Patreon, to be podcasting about all of this stuff. All of that, man. Like, Ben, you're a fucking stand-up dude. Thank you so much for all the time. He listened to me rant at Star Wars Celebration. I'm gonna tell this story very quickly because we're gonna be wrapping up here soon. But at Celebration, me and my wife went there. We went to go watch the Fatal Five-Way. Some mishaps happened, and we didn't make it into the five-way. So I'm leaving just pissed, steaming. I'm going down this ramp. It just feels like my day is ruined at this point because I sat there and I went to Chicago for Celebration, but the Schmoedown is such a big thing now that I realize I almost might like it more than Star Wars. But we're going down. I'm just pissed. Or I'm just like, let's go. Let's leave. As we're walking out, who do we see? We see Ben, the fucking boss Bateman. And I won't lie to you, I lost my shit a little bit. I geeked out. I grilled out. I was just like, oh. Yeah, just a random Ben in the wild. Just fucking great. And I sat there flagging down, Ben, how you doing? And I started talking with him. He talks to me for like 5 minutes. Just listens to me rant. Just being a stand-up dude. Like, I'm just losing it. Like, fucking wish I could have been up there. Really cool to see you, though. I'm going to sit there and be you tomorrow, and I'm going to insult the shit out of you at the live show tomorrow night. And he's just like, right on, man. Right, I'm like, whatever. I'm a big fan now. And, like, I totally geek out. I won't even, like, I'm not even going to pretend I kept my cool with it. I made sure I had that cool ready for the live event at the next show. But, yeah, honestly, like, he met me before then. We talked about it. We had an interview after live event. Like, he crushed it. Like, he went above and beyond. He was there taking pictures and all that stuff. So
he was such a nice guy. He answered all your questions. He posted for all the pictures. He was great. And you know, I mean, considering how physically, mentally exhausting working an event like not only just the Schmoedown app, obviously, but on top of that, they were working like for 18-hour days, for the Star Wars celebration.
Go up to that.
All the meetings.
Do a live event.
All the interviews, everything.
Lose a live event episode, or lose the match, do the live event, and then lose it, and then still sit there and be a good enough sport to do that.
And finally have an interview with these douchebags.
These douchebags right here.
These douchebags.
We did it. And we're the best. We're the greatest.
Yeah, and so I can only imagine, and he slapped on stage. I mean, it's just, again, it takes a lot out of you physically, mentally. And so just hats off to the guy for being just a stand-up guy throughout this whole process.
Right. Me and Alex had a great time in line. Yeah.
But also, off of that, Guy, he did have this video reaction where right before that, right before the ended, where Guy was just like, haha, and it was great. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've seen it. He did his famous laugh, and it was fantastic. And hi, babe.
Hello. Front door open.
It was fantastic. I mean, he really just shoved it in his face that he lost. He not only lost the match, but he lost to
his leg, lost the girl, lost all of it.
He's about to lose to him in Houston, and so it's kind of nuts. So he has another live match. He's Ben Bateman. He's kind of become like the king of the live matches, right? At this point, he's doing so many.
He is Mr. Live Events.
Yeah, he's done more than anyone.
Any other person. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
think of
nobody comes
individually.
close.
But it's so it's I honestly, I mean, like everyone's kind of like you've seen all the polls on the Facebook message boards. Everyone thinks Bateman's gonna win. It's hands down. But everyone thought Dan Murrell was gonna win. And
Everybody thought Who's the Boss was going to win. Everybody
so
thought.
everyone underestimates guys. I mean, and underestimates him.
Right.
So
And let's not forget, Alex, what's Ben Bateman's record in live events right now?
I think technically he's lost all of them.
Lost all of them. And again,
Okay,
love the guy, but
he part of Team Action. They lost against the Shire Wolves. Okay. He won. He also was in the free for all. So I mean, everyone loses, obviously.
fair. Well, everybody except Merle.
I don't know if I count that. But also, and he lost last night.
Right.
Now, he's going to be going up in his 4th live event coming up here in just a few weeks.
Who you got?
Loses.
Does it hurt? Does this match hurt the most out of any match coming up?
Like I do, like on one hand, I want Guy to win so bad because Guy's our guy. I mean, he's our man. But at the same time, if Bateman loses, that means something like we will lose like entire storylines.
We will lose an entire Bateman for a singles tournament. We will lose Bateman. Like, it's so hard because you really want. Like, I want Guy to win because he's just underdog, and I love seeing Guy in singles, honestly. Like, as much as I love him in teams, and he's my favorite teams, but his single run is, like, low-key amazing. Even it's only been 3 matches, but just the 2 matches that he had that crushed it with Riley, crushed it with Merle.
He was like, he was the champion slayer. It was bonkers.
Right, so I want to see him win, but I don't want to see the repercussions of seeing him win, and it's so hard.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, that's why it's like, can I get...
Can we just get another round?
Okay, sorry. Can I have Guy win, but keep everything of the hypotheticals if Bateman won? I mean, is that possible? No, it's not. But still, a girl can wish. So, I mean, that's coming up. But I mean, with the win and loss of Who's the Boss and the Odd Couple, obviously they just won the #1 contenders match. That means they're going to go up against the Shire Wolves in maybe a month or 2. So I am super psyched considering how amazing they've been in their last several matches. With their perfect rounds and everything, they're going to be quite some serious competition for the Shire Wolves. But the Shire Wolves are on fire, so but also, Who's the Boss? I mean, who do you think is going to go up against them? And
I think Who's the Boss honestly gets put on the back burner for a little bit right now. I mean, they've had a hot run in Anarchy. They've had another run up to get another title shot, lost against the Odd Couple. And I think right now, honestly, the best thing I want to see out of it, because as much as Ben is getting the spotlight and keep getting pushed and pushed and pushed, and I love Bateman, but I don't want it to feel like it's ever forced. And I said in the last video that we had, the Horseman storyline feels pushed. I don't want to feel like Who's the Boss gets pushed. I think that it's going to come down to them being kind of like a check play spot. They're going to be waiting, and then if the family does really good, or if another team does good, they're going to be that last little stand before a #1 contender match again. I think they're going to get one more shot, and if they blow it, it might be the end of Who's the Boss. But I think the thing I want to see most is Who's the Boss, and then the family face-off. I want to see that true face-off. Give Guy and McWeeny enough time to sit there and get their team synergy, get that rolling.
Like,
and then I want that last.
That weird unfortunately when Mark's dog Riley, his dog Cal passed, unfortunately. He wasn't there for the match, obviously. I mean, like, who would? But that means Dagnino, he stepped in, as a player. And obviously the family both, you can't compare the two. Obviously the family was gonna win.
But knowing that it came as close as it did, even with only Ben against them, and seeing all that, I think that, like I said, it's gonna just Guy and McWeeny need to get their time together. But I think the best thing they can do is build that match after. Have one last action hoorah, because I'm sure anybody who's not an action fan is miserable with this season right now, because it's just Ben and Andrew, Ben and Guy, and Who's the Boss, the family. Like, for the record, if you're not an action fan, you're watching the wrong podcast. But yes, But yeah, I think the best thing they can do is just build to that one last big fight and then leave it at that. Just let us see where those chips land and then go from there.
Absolutely. It's when the Guy Bateman match comes out here in May, I'm gonna cry and it's gonna be rough. It's not gonna be like pretty tears where I'm like crying softly. It's gonna be like it's gonna be ugly tears. It's gonna be
real bad. It's gonna be waterworks.
An emotional match. I mean,
it's gonna be jealousy that we're not there because there's some action meetup and it's such a big action friendly thing, and I'm just like, damn it! But we went to this one and we had a fantastic time.
And I feel I would love to go. I would. I'd be okay with spending more money on a hotel and a plane ticket last minute. But
you can catch our fundraiser or GoFund us or GoFundMe right here to get the Call to Action podcast. Oh my god, I wish. Make this dream come true, Schmoedown community. You know you want to.
Please.
Yeah. But I guess we should start to wrap up on this one then, Alex. We could go on all day and night about.
We're just talking about the whole thing and like the end of an era. I might just cry. Cry sleep tonight.
Let's wrap it before the ugly tears. Where can they catch you at, Alex?
You can find me on Instagram at Mack_Midori. Other than that, please don't find me. But we also do have a Twitter page. I would really appreciate you if you followed at the Call to Action podcast, which I manage.
You can catch me at CAMACH Octopus at Twitter. You probably don't want to talk to me on there. Honestly, you can catch me in one of the Facebook groups. I say it every episode. Fuck the Twitter thing. You're gonna see me talk about nothing on that. Catch me on Facebook in the Movie Trivia Schmoedown group. Catch me in the Action Army group and the Call to Action Army. Plug at Ben Bateman Media and at Andrew Guy. Instagram, Twitter.
That Andrew Guy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That Andrew Guy. Yeah.
You can catch them at the Action Industries, Action Army, Schmoedown Patreon, all of those Patreons. Both of those. Subscribe. Go be a Patreon today. Go do your good work. Other than that, Alex,
salute out of y'all.
Is that it? This is our wrap. Is this our wrap for our awesome episode? I want to go back. It was so good.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.